Well, hello beautiful. Thank you so much for being here. I'm Cody, the founder of Montarbo Skincare, always here to help you have the most healthy, glowing, and gorgeous skin regardless of your age, concern, or budget. Today's video, I want to talk a little bit about Retin-A. It's been a minute since I've done a Retin-A video. Lots of questions about Retin-A, and so I just wanted to kind of maybe guide you in the right direction. You should always ask your doctor, whoever's prescribing you this medicine, should always get their recommendations, because there is a reason why this substance is controlled, because it's super irritating to the skin. But I wanted to talk a little bit about what percentage of Retin-A you should be using and what concern that percentage will most benefit. So there's 0.025, 0.05, and 0.1. The 0.1, the highest percentage, and that is, I notice, often prescribed to certain people, but there are many things that are taken into consideration of what percentage is prescribed to what person. So if you're like extremely oily and acne prone, then they usually will put you on the 0.1 percentage. You know, typically, not always, usually somebody will use that for a couple tubes and then they'll either go back down and maintain. If it's a really good doctor, usually they put you on retinol after you've run usually 3 skin cycles. It usually takes about 3 skin cycles for the vitamin A to reach its full potential, along with most ingredients. 3 skin cycles is 6 weeks apart, so 6, 12, 18 weeks total, but it can definitely be longer. It just depends on the severity of the concern, including like pigmentation. If you have like hardcore melasma, it can take 3 skin cycles in order to really see some improvements. So it just takes a little bit of time. Usually people that are more sensitive are obviously on the lowest percentage, 0.025, and then what they will do is they'll usually use that a little bit more frequently as they're trying to get more results. So you don't always need to go to the highest percentage. You could just get away with using a lower percentage usually, but you use it a little bit more often. And then the 0.05 is, you know, typical. It's kind of like the kind of middle ground for most people, that they can get on that and they're usually typically fine without having too much reaction or irritation. But if you're like struggling with aging and pigmentation and, you know, you're using Retin-A for anti-aging, the thing is that always it's about getting people to stay on the ingredient, because you're not going to get real benefits of the Retin-A unless you're on it for at least 4 months or longer. And the real benefits for anti-aging can take up to a year to get real noticeable results. And people usually don't last that long because they can't stay on it because it's so irritating. So that's why sometimes it's okay to use a lower percentage and you use it more frequently, so you have less irritation than using a higher percentage that you won't continue to use because you're just so red and irritated. That redness and irritation is dehydration for the most part, and it's also because Retin-A is acidic. It's an acidic form of vitamin A, and so the cell dumps a lot of it in that process because it's acidic, so it's just like very inflammatory for the cell, and it dumps it and it's irritated, it's red, and that redness that you see is usually, it's stimulation actually. It's the stimulation of new skin cells. It's not actual redness from irritation. It's a different type of redness. So and if you keep pushing through that, usually your skin will tolerate it better and then that redness will go away. But you'll still be left with kind of a flushy glow, which is what you really want, because that shows that the vitamin A has been used enough and has caused a lot of stimulation of new skin cells and regeneration, I should say. So I hope this video helps give you some clarity. I just want you to always remember that it is really important to also know your skin type for what percentage you'll be prescribed. So if you're really dry, then you want to go on the lowest percentage because your skin's going to get more dry. If you're really oily, then you usually go to the higher percentage, but not always, especially if you're not going to be a person that's compliant or you have a very active life. So like if you just were thinking, oh, let me just start off using the Retin-A, you know, like at a 0.025, then it's going to take you a lot longer to see noticeable results, but it might be better for you so that you actually stay on it and are really consistent and push through any type of dryness and irritation. You don't always need to be red, irritated, itchy, and flaky in order for something to be working. A lot of magic is happening always below the surface of the skin. But I'll leave you with this. Retin-A and retinoic acid, or retinol and vitamin A, I should say, in general, isn't a product or isn't an ingredient that you can just get benefits from by using it whenever you feel like it. It needs to be consistently pushed into the skin. So if you're really wanting to see results, typically we try to get people to push through. They start off using it at least 3 times a week, and then 4, and then 5, and then 6, and then 7. And how we kind of recommend doing that is you go through a 3-week cycle. So you use whatever you're using now, and you'll use it for 3 nights a week for 3 weeks, and then 4 nights a week for 3 weeks, and then 5 nights a week for 3 weeks, and then so on and so forth. Does that make sense? So you're just giving it to your skin consistently, trying to repair any irritation during that process, and then just trying to be as sustainable as possible. And then eventually, once your goal is reached, you would usually go onto a retinoid. And then, or if you're loving Retin-A and you love that and that's the way you want to go. The problem I'm noticing though is there's other ingredients you want to be using that are extremely beneficial to the skin that you can't really be using when you're on Retin-A. So I always recommend, once you cycle through and get your result, now you start going back down onto a retinoid at the highest percentage, which is usually a 3% over the counter, and that will give you a similar result of the Retin-A. Anyway, so I hope this video helped. If you have any questions, feel free to ask them below, and remember to stay gorgeous, and I'll see you soon in a new video. Bye.